This is a Film Stories original podcast.
When you make decisions for your company, you look for the no-brainers. And if you have a lot of mailing to do, Stamps.com is the ultimate no-brainer. Mail checks, invoices, documents, and everything you need to keep your business running. Get rates up to 89% off USPS and UPS. And with the mobile app, you can take care of mailing on the go. Make the same no-brainer decisions as over 1 million other businesses with Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com with code PROGRAM for a special offer. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM.
We made this. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the X-Cast. The truth is in here. I'm your host, Cortlan Waters Bartley, and today I have a very special guest here to talk about her time on the X-Files and beyond. You know her as Special Agent Leyla Harrison, Jolie Jenkins. Welcome to the X-Cast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited, actually, to have you here and talk about Leyla Harrison.
Yeah.
So right now, the X-Cast is kind of in the middle of airing episodes. They do episode by episode breakdown of the show, and we're kind of right in the middle of season 9. So
Okay.
this is perfect timing.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, good timing for Leyla.
Right, to bring in Leyla Harrison. So my first question always for guests like yourself, how did you get this role of Special Agent Leyla Harrison?
I mean, I just went in and auditioned, I'm sure, with hundreds of girls. I was just thinking of, in preparation for our talk today, I was thinking about going in that audition, and it really felt like one of so many that I was going on at the time. And I feel like that was a specific time of my life when I was really, young and had lots of auditions all the time. And you get kind of attached to certain projects or material, and then nothing ever comes of it. So it feels like scary to get too excited. But I remember really liking this role and thinking, oh, this would be so fun. And I went in and got to meet Frank Spotnitz, and it felt good. I felt like he was interested, but I felt like that. I feel like that all the time. And, as an actor, most of the time you don't get the job. So I remember walking. It was on the Fox lot, and I remember walking from the building to my car, like that mile-long walk, just thinking, wow, this would be a really cool gig. So it was really fun to get it. It was a blast. It was such a blast.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. So when you went in for the role, or I guess probably after you definitely got it, Frank Spotnitz mentions, I think it's in the commentary for Alone, he mentions that he had actually spoken to the real Leyla Harrison, before writing Alone, or before putting together the episode. Were you aware of the real life Leyla Harrison?
I really wasn't. I wasn't aware, and I was aware of the show. I mean, I was aware of the X-Files, obviously, but I wasn't a huge I wasn't a diehard fan. And so I didn't really realize until I was in the middle of shooting my first episode what a tribute it was to her and to fans in general. I feel like it was such a beautiful nod to the fans. And I think I'm glad I didn't know, because I feel like that would have I would have felt more pressure. I already felt pressure. I already felt like I needed to do a good job,
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. I'm not sure that I would want to know going in either, especially because I think by the time we meet Leyla Harrison in season 8, people are very attached to everything about the X-Files.
I know. For sure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. There are going to be a lot of questions like that in the mailbag, so I'm going to kind of compile a couple of them for you right now. So in creating, like, you are part of creating Leyla Harrison, a lot of people were curious if you have any experience being a fan, not necessarily of the X-Files, but just being a fan, or if any specific knowledge kind of informed how you introduced or played Leyla Harrison.
I mean, I think probably one of the reasons why I got the job in the first place was just an energetic kind of wide-eyed excitement. I think I was so excited to be part of the show and to be part of something that I knew was so important. And at the time, I was really building an acting career and had not worked too much. So I think I was very just such a, it sounds cheesy, but a real big fan of just show business and being part of a television show. I just love TV. I really do. And so to be part of something that was this big, just to be a little tiny part of it was really exciting for me. And so I think just that excitement was really organic.
Yeah, well, it shows. Obviously, I've been watching a lot of season 9, but I went back and watched alone, before to prepare for this interview. And it shows. Leyla has such a habit, right? She shows up in 2 different episodes in times of really major transition for the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such a fun way to see. Like, I mean, obviously I am a fan, so it's a fun way to see sort of us in the show, like, as part of it.
Yeah, just freaking out. Yeah.
And kind of, I mean, at the same time, it's really sweet and also kind of annoying. Like, Leyla Harrison,
I know,
is very sweet and also kind of annoying. I think it's very relatable, though. I think lots of us who are fans have found ourselves in a scenario of like, well, there's this one X-File where, and you just list like 20 things that happened, and everyone else in the room is like, no one cares. So it was wonderful.
Stop talking.
Right, you're done here. Yeah, that happens more often than I would like to admit. So that's fine. So let's talk about kind of your first day or your first kind of venture on set. What was it like? Do you have memories of that?
I remember being so just taken by the kindness of Annabeth Gish and Robert Patrick. They were both just so lovely and fun to work with. The show was such a well-oiled machine by the time I came in. They were all such a family. They spent so much time together, like too much time together. Just in the sense that, like, I feel like everyone was so overworked, working like 20-hour days. And but it was such a tight-knit cast and crew, and they really hugged me into that energy. And so I remember, like, I have just warm, fuzzy feelings of being on set with everyone. And I feel like one of the first things we shot was a scene where I had to hold a gun, and I had never held a gun before in my life. I hadn't worked with a gun. I hadn't held a real gun. And it just all felt so cool. I don't know. It felt like, I'd never worn like a suit in a job, like working, so it felt like I was getting to really like play this character. It just felt really fun. I was like geeking out on just the fun of the role and the show and everything. So, but I remember just having such fun with the cast. We laughed. There's a scene where we are gosh, and in my mind and my memories, like the two episodes are kind of like mingled together.
Sure.
But in the scene, I think it's the one in the second one I did, where we're outside, and I just remember a scene where we were shooting outside, and I laugh when I think of it now because we could not. It was not a funny scene. I mean, there's really not a lot of humor. You know what I mean? Not a lot of like strict comedy.
There's some, yeah.
There is some, but you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
It wasn't. We weren't meant to be laughing in the scene.
Sure.
Right. And I just remember how hard it was to shoot it because we were all. I don't know. It was middle of the night. It was a night shoot, middle of the night. We were all like, slap happy, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just I just remember having so much fun, and having to like, really we all three had to pull it together because we were laughing so hard. It was great.
Yeah. There's a really great scene in that one in Scary Monsters where I'm not like, I think you're in the car and like a whole bunch of, it's not blood, but it like shoots out of the vents. Like it's
Yes, that's right. Oh my gosh.
How many times have we had to do that?
Gosh, what was kind of funny is that both episodes involved like stuff with my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And I had like I have just personally, I mean, I think I've overcome a lot of that eye fear just from like, I don't know, having had kids and blood tests and C-sections and like, I don't know, I'm like more I don't know, not as delicate.
Yeah.
Squeamish, whatever. But I, in high school, I had a really weird reaction to eye drops in an eye doctor's office, and it made me pass out. And so I had like eye fear from that, And when I booked X-Files, they said you need to go. This is before I started working. You need to go and have a fitting for these contacts. Because in Alone, there was a, the lizard guy.
Yes. There's a lizard man, and he's going to shoot venom to your eyes.
He shoots venom. And so there were special contacts, which it's funny now because it's so darkly lit that you can't really tell. But I mean, I was wearing these hand-painted super thick contacts that, made my eyes look like they were.
Yeah.
And then in Scary Monsters, I bled from the eyes. So I had to have these like crazy eye. Anyway, I really had to overcome a lot of eye fear.
Yeah. The X-Files was no why for that for you.
X-Files really was like the eye files.
It's funny. I also noticed that, like, because watching them, I don't think I'd ever thought about it before. And then watching them back to back, I was like, they were really obsessed with like doing stuff to her eye.
I know. It's like my fears were manifested, and
in Alone, it looked like they had like quite a lot though, like on your eyes, but then like also maybe on the rest of your skin, like maybe it was like starting to.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that was crazy too. I've got to dig those photos up. They're from somewhere. They're all the people. I had like skin peeling and venom, evidence of venom. Yes. Yeah. That makeup department was incredible.
And it was so dark.
Yes, and it was so dark.
Yeah, there's really only a couple times where you're like, I think her skin might be peeling off down there. Great.
Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, hours in makeup.
Yeah.
Special contact administrators,
Yes. Oh no.
Hey.
That does sound like a lot. With the eyes. So I know we kind of talking about this, but do you have any like specific memories? Obviously working with Robert Patrick and Annabeth in Scary Monsters. One of my all-time favorite scenes is actually the very end of Alone in the hospital. It's the last scene in the episode, but you're in the hospital bed and Mulder and Scully come to see you. It's one of my favorites.
Why? Why is that one of your favorites?
It's just the most adorable scene. I think it's just from the perspective of like a fan watching, I think it's just sort of what everyone would want is like to be a little bit part of the team. And like,
yeah.
And I laugh every time the question that she's like, I have a question. And they're like, okay. And it's like a really specific,
right.
really niche question. Like, what happened when the snowcat ran out of gas? Like, I can't tell you the number of fan fiction stories that are out there that try to answer that question. How did they get out of Antarctica when the snowcat ran out of gas? That's real. It's a real fandom question.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So actually one of our Novak listeners asked, she remembers hearing that David and Gillian actually ad-libbed a lot of that response. And so she was wondering if you remembered other like takes.
Oh my gosh. I don't. But I remember that scene being lovely to shoot. I remember them being really warm and but no, I don't remember any other takes.
That's okay. See, this is the kind of question that Leyla Harrison would ask you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was like 20 years ago.
It's all right. That's okay. Yeah. We will just imagine all of their wonderful.
Yes.
I'm sure they were good at it. Yeah. No, it's just such a delightful. I think it's just a great way to kind of end that. And because it is a really sort of important moment in the show where they are actually leaving the X-Files. So it's nice to leave them kind of, chatting it up, giving away their
I agree. Yeah.
It's adorable. And then Scary Monsters, it has a pretty different vibe, at least in terms of the show, because it is much later. So going from the Mulder and Scully era into the Doggett and Reyes era, but it's nice. Another question that we got a lot of, did you keep anything from your time on the X-Files? Do you have any X-Files souvenirs?
No, I don't. I was gonna say I have the eye trauma, but
right.
I feel like that I have almost like, what's the antidote to, or the opposite of that? I have like the eye, like exposure therapy.
Yes. Yeah. Is that what we call it? Yeah, exposure therapy.
Yeah.
You're healed from your previous.
I did take that with me.
Good. Well, I mean, it's the important things, right? The things inside.
No, I don't have anything. I mean, maybe like a bra or something. So sure, those things find their way home. But no, I wish I had that suit or one of the outfits I got to wear or something. But alas, no.
Well, that answers that, listeners.
Generally, as an actor, especially as a guest actor coming in, you don't get anything. Mm-hmm. You don't get anything.
Yeah.
I mean, from the they need to keep everything for continuity in case they need to use it again.
Right. Yeah.
So I imagine if a show, if you're a regular on a show and it completely wraps up, but even then, I feel like they're so protective of keeping everything intact, everything on a set or in a wardrobe, in someone's closet, so to speak, keep everything very, I don't know, under wraps.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of kind of being a guest actor, obviously you got hired to do this one episode in season 8. Did they give you any hints that you might be coming back? How did that happen?
No, I mean, I do feel like I vision boarded it into existence. I mean, for I'm joking, but also I kind of believe that on some spiritual level because it was such an incredible experience doing Alone. It just really, it was just so different from anything I'd ever done before. And I loved the experience. And I really, you could feel that Leyla could come back. And I just...
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
I just wished for it so hard. And I can't believe it happened so far later,
Yeah.
Quite a bit later. So, but they gave me no indication. It was just like one day there was a call saying they want to bring Leyla back and this extra episode. So I was like, oh yes. And then, I just keep waiting for Leyla to come back one of these movies or leave it.
I mean, that would have been, honestly, it would have been excellent for her to turn up in the revival.
Wouldn't it have?
Yes. But she's like the head of accounting now. She's moved up. She's right. Yeah, she moved up the ladder for sure.
Oh my God.
The head of whatever. Totally. Up in the accounting department.
Yeah. Where is she now? I don't know. Maybe she's working undercover for some other agency now.
She can be.
I don't know.
She seemed not to enjoy her experience in the field either time.
Yeah, that's true. With all the eye,
wherever
all the eye,
wearing protective goggles.
She went into. She's an eye doctor now.
Yeah. She learned a lot. She grew, and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna reverse Scully that path to become a doctor later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. That's excellent speculation. I kind of totally lost where. It's fine. Okay, that's okay. So we're gonna ask you some more questions from the mailbag. Usually before we record, we all ask questions, and I'm sure we're gonna have some follow-ups out of these. So okay, Adam would like to know, how did your experiences working on the 2 episodes differ? Were there big differences between Alone and Scary Monsters? I know we kind of talked about this, but
I mean, it's such a different experience having been inside of it in one little aspect, versus watching it from the outside. That when I think back, and it's been a while. So when I think back on it, I think I had a lot more confidence going back again, just personally, because I felt like, wow, I must have done something right, that they're having me back, which is the quintessential actress thought.
You're awesome.
But I think it was probably, I think those times laughing in the middle of the night, those all happened on Alone. And Annabeth and I became friends, and I feel like it was more, I was a little more nervous for the first episode. It was still very enjoyable, but it was like, whoa, this is a big responsibility,
Yeah.
And the second episode, just personally, the doing of it felt just more like I'm back, and it's always, I've done a ton of guest work on television, and it's very much like the first day of school vibes. The whole episode, you're kind of like, okay, I don't have anyone to sit with at lunch, and it is like that. Your people kind of know you're going to be there for the week, but they're not going to stick. That's a lot. I don't know.
Sure.
I still have made some beautiful connections that way with other people and actors and producers and things and directors, but so it feels really fun to come back and have people be like, well, you're back, welcome back. And so that's always a lovely experience. So that's kind of like the actor's version of that question. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure, of that, to answering that.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. We're gonna go sideways a little bit and take a break from X-Files, because actually, now that you mention it, I went through your IMDb profile and felt like a real dummy, because you're also in another of my favorite shows, and it's called The West Wing.
Oh yeah,
I have a whole episode of The West Wing, and as I'm going through, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely you. It's one of my favorites too. I was excited to see that you had an episode of it.
Yeah, that was right around the same time as X-Files, actually. It was the same. They darkened my hair for that West Wing episode, so I look a little different, but it was right. It was in the same, few months.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to say how much I love it.
Oh, thank you.
So our next question is from Paige. And she says, Leyla got to speak for the fan base twice. Did you feel pressure about that? In particular, I guess the second time. And did you have any interesting fan encounters, or have you had any interesting fan encounters?
Well, like I said earlier, I think going into it, I really didn't know. I didn't know about Leyla, and I didn't know I was supposed to feel that pressure, and I'm glad I didn't. And then I think the confidence I felt coming back and feeling like I was invited back kind of allayed those fears of, oh, I hope I'm doing the fans justice, you know? And also it's the kind of thing where people are gonna like you or not. What are you gonna do? You know?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's that. And then what did you, I forgot
her second question was, did you have or have you had any interesting fan encounters?
Fan encounters? Not really. I mean, no. I don't know. No.
Have you ever?
I have fan encounters, but
yeah, but not interesting ones.
I mean, I get some strange like DMs and stuff, you know, but
sure.
Just ignore. No one's like, no one's like, will you sign my contact lenses or?
Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna guess that somebody's gonna ask you now to sign their gun. No, that's funny. So next question from Ibrahim, and he actually has 3 questions, but I think we kind of covered some of them. So I'm going to ask this second one. Do you have any reaction, or did you have any reaction to Leyla Harrison being used in the book, The X-Files Archives?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's so interesting because I have 2 little kids, ages 4 and 8. And no, I mean, it's straight. Okay, sorry, I'm having
that's okay.
But I have, the reason I say that is because when I picture that book, I picture it on a very, very, very high shelf in my house because a copy was sent to me. And
that was his next question is, did you get a copy? Okay.
I did. I did get a copy, and I have not poured through it yet because it sits on a very, very high shelf because I do not want my children anywhere near that book.
Right. Yeah. Horrible things in there.
It's such a weird thing being kind of like, and on such a small scale. I mean, who's Jolie Jenkins? You know what I'm saying? But like, just to be like a whole book written up kind of in the perspective of this character that I played, which is not, I don't own it, you know, but it's just an interesting, weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll have to, when my kids get older, I'll have to pull that down and dust it off.
Right? Take a look later with
I'll look at it. I'll look at it before the convention.
Right. Yeah. Bring it with you. No, I'm just kidding. Lots of people do. Okay, so this is a very like actor question for you. So a little bit X-Files, but mostly actor question. Specifically because your role and this is still Ibrahim's question, by the way. He wants to know, as an actor, what's the difference, especially when your X-Files role was rather comedic, between doing something like that for the X-Files and then doing 39 episodes like as a sitcom regular?
What's the difference?
Yeah, how is it different?
I mean, the difference is just genre, really. I mean, and stakes and how, I mean, I think that there's, I'm working on a show right now, a Nickelodeon show called The Really Loud House, which is the live action version of the Loud House cartoon. And it is very broad. It's a cartoon, it's a cartoon come to life, and it is definitely grounded in reality, but the stakes are so much higher, and it's so, it's like things are on fire and it's crazy, you know. But it's still, so I guess that's the difference. The genre is the difference.
Sure.
You know, I mean, the X-Files comedy, it's going to be a lot more subtle and it's still very, you know, always grounded, but much more subtle and done more with, you know, thoughts than exclamation points.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it definitely, he's right, I guess, about her being a comedic role. I mean, I don't tend to think of Leyla Harrison as being a comedic role, but I was definitely laughing as I was watching.
I think she's like, I think the device of Leyla is like comic relief for sure, but I don't think it's really true for her. I don't think she's ever playing the comedy, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's definitely not. Yeah, I think it's definitely real. And I think especially in the second episode, there's that whole scene. I think you're in like Scully's new office, right? You like come to see Scully, or she comes to see Scully, and Scully just wants to eat her sandwich. Like she's got like 5 minutes and she's really busy, and just, it's hilarious. The whole scene is hilarious and awkward, but so earnest from Agent Harrison.
I feel like that when I shot that scene, I think, you know, trying to think of how the most diplomatic way to say this, but I think by then Gillian was not going to suffer fools. You know what I mean? She was like, and I was so intimidated by her. She was just a formidable presence, and she was very professional. She did not lead with warmth. And you know, she was cool. She was cool, but she was cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So I feel like that scene was like nervous Jolie trying to make sure I did it. You know what I mean? Like that I got through it. And she was just like,
yeah, for sure. And I think I read somewhere that it was right around that time, right around Scary Monsters time, when they were finding out or maybe announcing that this was the end of the X-Files.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I was actually there that day that they came, that they gathered everyone together. I know.
What a terrible day.
I know. It was an interesting, I mean, historical moment, you know, to be able to be there for that. They gathered everyone together, and they let everyone know that this was it. This was the end of the season was going to be, the season, you know, 9 was going to be it.
Yeah, that this was it.
And and it wasn't I don't feel like it was sad. It wasn't sad vibes, you know. It was more just like, wow, we've had a good run. You know, everybody was very, it was like nostalgic and bittersweet kind of, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think that there's a little bit of that, like in that actual episode, you know, like so I think the whole point of bringing Leyla back for that episode is to be like, yes, Doggett and Reyes are as good as Solder and Scully, just in their own way. So I think that that's a really, interesting way to describe it, because I would describe it as bittersweet. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it was.
So, is there anything you thought I was going to ask you about that I didn't?
I genuinely wasn't sure. I was coming as like a no, because I don't, because I'm not a diehard X-Files fan.
It's fine.
And so I just have like, wisps of memories, and I even have to go, and this, I feel like I even have to go, what are the names of the episodes again? Because it, like I said, in my mind, it's all just like this beautiful X-Files experience, even though my episodes were so far apart and everything. It's weird how time does that.
Yeah. Things kind of like merge into one another.
Yeah. Sure.
It makes sense. Don't worry. We are here to tell you what the title of every episode is.
Okay, good.
Don't worry. We've got that covered. Is there anything, what have you been up to? I know you said you're in the Nickelodeon show, right? Is there anything else you want to like plug?
I have a movie coming out February 24th called Jesus Revolution.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be great. It's about these real life people, Greg and Cathy Laurie, and how they kind of revolutionized the Christian church going experience in the 70s by kind of like creating these Christian church services that kind of were super inclusive, and like the hippies could come and you could come barefoot and you could come as you are. And I think prior to that, it was a very like staid, conservative experience. So the movie's about that. Kelsey Grammer's in it, and Kim Williams and Joel Courtney. So I'm excited about that. It's really, the trailer looks so good. And I got to wear all these like 60s costumes, and that was fun. And yeah, I'm here in New Mexico. I've been shooting the really loud house, for the better part of this year. And, we're just getting ready to start in a week or so shooting a Loud House Halloween movie.
Okay.
Wow. So I'm having fun being a mom in real life, and being a mom of 2 in real life, and a mom of 11 on screen.
That seems very different.
It is.
Then seems very different.
It is. My own 2 are so much harder than the 11 actors.
Like no one is giving them lines, you know?
Yeah.
You need somebody to write that up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thanks so much for being here today and chatting with me.
My pleasure. It was really fun. Thanks for, I have this sort of feeling like, who wants to talk to me?
We do.
It feels really fun. Thank you. It's really fun.
Of course. Do you want to tell everyone where they could find you on social media or anything, any place like that?
Sure. I'm on Instagram at Jolie Jenkins. That's really the only place to find me.
That's perfect. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram if you just search for my name. I'm the only one with X-Files in their bio. And you can find the XCast on Twitter at the X_cast, and on Instagram at the XCast pod. And on the Facebook group, the X-Files Basement, the XCast podcast fan group, which is coincidentally where all of our mailbag questions came from today. So yeah, thanks again, Jolie.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for listening. And remember, trust no one.
The XCast, an X-Files podcast, was created by Tony Black and is produced and hosted by Carl Sweeney, Sarah Blair, and Kurt North.
You can find the podcast on Twitter at the X_cast, on Facebook by typing in the XCast, and in our group, X-Files Basement, the XCast podcast fan group, and on Instagram at the XCast pod.
Don't forget, you can support the show by becoming a member on Patreon. Our patrons get early access to episodes, behind-the-scenes chats with our hosts and a thriving community of X-Files, and other premium interviews and specials. To find out more and subscribe, you can go to patreon.com/thexcast. That's patreon.com/thexcast.
We are also part of the We Made This podcast network, full of popular culture shows, including our Millennium series, The Time Is Now. You can find all of our shows at our website, wemadethispod.com, or via Twitter at wemadethispod.
Thanks for listening, and keep watching the skies.